Welcome her with a huge round of applause. I would now request Ms. Goenka and Ms. Sureka to officially launch the book, please.
Which I happened to read before coming here. Like my mantra of life goes, if you can be something, be kind, and if you can give something, give hope. Which is why the first time when you told me about this, the whole concept of, talking about mental health, especially for kids and for children, touched me. And that was something like whoever follows me or knows me knows that I keep talking about mental health, and more so in the past couple of years I've been advocating it, left, right, center. But there's one thing that I've been wanting to ask you since the beginning, I don't know if you remember, but I wanted to ask you, what made you write a book on this topic? When mental health conversation is not really a dinner table conversation for most of the people still in India, I would say. What made you so intrigued to choose a topic on child mental health?
So, before I became a therapist, I was a mother. And every day when I would go for my child's PTA to school and, to collect his reports, I would see the scholastic stall, and I would ask them, that what if my child is throwing a tantrum, what do I do? Do you have a book on that? Further, I would ask them that is there anything on mental health? Because mental health as a subject has always intrigued me. I would love reading about Sigmund Freud, the noted psychoanalyst, and since childhood the human mind and human behavior has always intrigued me. So I would never ever find a book on mental health for some kind of behavioral issue, whether it's poor performance in class, whether it's having difficulties with their parents, or sometimes these days about curfews, about time on social media, on the phone. I realized that there are no books on mental health, especially in the Indian context, and nobody seemed to be writing it. So every year I would go and I would ask at bookstores that why don't you have a book on mental health? And they said, ma'am, it's not feasible. Nobody is going to buy a book on it. So I just decided to go ahead and write one. And this is where we are. Scholastic was really nice to, take up the...
I mean, this is so simply written, I would say, for anybody and everybody. It's a beautiful introduction to mental health. And like I read, there are short stories in the book which make it very interesting. It's about 3 different kids, right? You want to elaborate on that?
Sure. So what I realized, a lot of times with mental health, like you rightly pointed out, it's not dinner table conversation. So people have a toothbrush in the bathroom and they don't think that somebody is really suffering from some kind of dental issues, You have it to prevent dental issues. In fact, parents start off with young children. They say that, brush your teeth once a day. If they can get them to brush twice a day, nothing like it. But when it comes to conversations about mental health, there is no place to start. Like there is no toothbrush. So what I really want to tell parents is what is it that you are doing on a day-to-day basis. That is what matters. So the first story is about this child called Ryan. Now Ryan is a very popular Anglo-Indian name here. For people in Calcutta and even in Goa and parts of Bombay, it's a very popular name. So what this child sees is his parents arguing and he doesn't know what to do about it. Luckily, his school teacher notices that he's not really paying attention and she calls the parents and takes it up. So what I have tried to do is take simple day-to-day situations and talk to parents about it. Hey, are you talking to your child or are you arguing and fighting and your child is misinterpreting it? So that is Ryan's story. The other child is Kabir. Kabir has a parent who's suffering from depression and his father gets angry and people, without going into the clinical aspects of depression and what are the symptoms, Kabir always thinks that his father is angry with him because of something he has done or the way he is. But when his mother actually communicates to him and takes him to a psychologist, Kabir realizes that it's okay. Just like if someone has a fever, family members take care and they're a little quiet and let the person rest. So Kabir also realizes that his father needs some help and some support from family members. And he becomes really responsible and he starts behaving and acting very maturely. So this thing that, sweep the issue under the carpet never works when it comes to mental health. Because if one family member has a mental health issue, the entire family suffers. Through the second story, I wanted to bring this point across, that even if there is a mental health issue, talk about it. If you can't resolve it by yourselves, go to a professional. Sometimes just a session or two can really give dramatic results. Don't stigmatize it. And the third is about a child who's going through problems. Now we criticize children for a lot of things. See, your hair is so long. Why are you taking out this dress? It's a party dress. Imagine a 3-year-old. Often parents say that this dress is too nice. Why do you want to wear this? These shoes are not going with the dress you are wearing. What happens is child starts interpreting it all as criticism. And over time the child learns that I don't make good choices. Someone else knows better than me about my life. I have a friend sitting here in the audience. I still remember when her 5-year-old came. Her name is Ishani. She came to meet us and she was wearing a glittery golden colored skirt, And everybody, her siblings made fun of her. Why are you wearing such a glittery skirt? She was not bothered. She said, why your friends are coming? I want to greet them. She sat down, she wished us and I was so happy with the way my friend and her family members dealt with it. They just let her be. So these are simple things that we need to do to make children comfortable in their own skin and in their own homes. So through this book, Hope, what I really want parents to know is listen to your children, communicate with them, and you will be surprised how much it helps them become emotionally resilient and have sound mental health.
Yeah, I understand this is primarily for parents, right? And from my experience and from my learnings through meditation and self-help techniques, which obviously came in much later in life, we are never told, but according to the psychotherapists, all the patterns and the trends that a person has in much later in life, the root cause of it comes from their childhood, right? So it's very important that the parents spot that pattern or the trend that is developing at a much earlier age. How early? I want you to answer that. Number one, that how early is it possible also for parents to look for such trends and patterns? Only if the parent is that aware of such things will they be able to spot them in their kids, right?
From 0 to 7 years of age. Now many of you watching me would say, what do you do with a newborn baby? But there is a lot of study in developmental psychology. There are a lot of reflexes. Like there is one reflex called the Moro reflex. If you see, if a tiny child, you take the child and you just touch the child lightly, the child tends to turn towards the parent or whoever is doing it. So children as young as 3 months old also understand touch. So you know how much is the vibe around them. That is what sets their attachment pattern. In fact, psychology, there's a lot of research which says how you are in the first 2 years of life actually determines your married life much later. Now you always think that that's really crazy, but how we attach to another individual, we learn in the first 2 years of our life. So when it comes to little babies, treat them as kings, you know, cuddle them, love them, nurture them. And no gyan for them. You know, the more you hold your baby close, more you smile at your baby, frankly that lays a solid foundation of mental health when it comes to children. Now we come to the age of, let's say 3 to 5. At that time, children are very egocentric. You know, they start exploring. We talk of once they have gone through the terrible twos, so that is the time when they feel the world revolves around them. That's when they want to make choices about what they are wearing. Like the other day, I went for a function at my friend's house. Her 4-year-old daughter was wearing a beautiful sari on Saraswati Puja, but she had 5 colored pins on her hair. You know, so there was blue, there was pink, there was orange, and of course the sari was yellow and red. Did they ask her to take it out? No, they didn't. And here was this little girl sitting prim and proper all through the puja. So this is the age where you have to let a child be. That's where confidence in business decisions comes in. That's where confidence to take on the world comes in. And by the time the child is 7, the entire adult personality has formed. And they are the best psychologists. They have watched you, the parents, with eyeglasses, you know, the way your husband has not looked at you, the way a lover has not looked at you, the way you have not looked at anyone. Trust me, that little child has looked at you as though you're the best thing on the planet and has imbibed all personality traits. So by the time a child is 7, the child has decided, at least the foundation is laid. And after that, when you have difficulties as adults, usually we are unlearning patterns that we have picked up in the first 0 to 7.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I remember in this book, you have particularly, noted some key practices for parents to enhance self-esteem in kids. That is something I want you to talk about, because, like you said, that let kids explore themselves, let them be independent, let them make wrong choices, and learn from them. What are the 3 top self-esteem boosting or such likes that you would recommend for parents?
Firstly, laugh with your children. Laugh with them every day, as though they are the ones who crack the best jokes. When we talk about character strengths, the latest research in positive psychology says, here we talk about positivity, we talk about growth. What we forget about is to laugh with our children. I mean, I have my daughter here. She loves seeing memes. But what happens is I don't understand memes. So memes have to be explained to me. And she's like, Mom, you don't get it. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Can you explain the meme to me? But I realize that it's more...
The joke is died.
Yeah, the joke has died. But now, over time, I'm genuinely trying to understand memes, and I'm more meme educated now than I was 6 months back. So, laugh with your child. Whether the child is 3 years old, whether the child is of any age. I see my mom-in-law in her 70s. When she is with her children, the kind of sobriquets she uses, the kind of food they like, all that, and even the child I've seen, whatever the age, they want their parent to laugh with them. They want them, every child wants to feel as though my parent is very happy with me. So I really think that the first thing that you need to do is laugh with your children. And the second thing that you can do is talk about feelings. Role model, that I've mentioned in the book. Role model the behavior. Like, let's say a lot of times we judge children because they throw a tantrum or they yell. Most of the time there is another family member who's yelling as and when they want to. So children pick up what they see. Now you may see, I'm not like that, maybe my spouse is like that. Fine. But what about you talking to your child about it? When you see this behavior, do you like it? Talk to the child about feelings. And how would you like to regulate your anger? How is it that you want to talk about? And children are very malleable. So these 2 things really work. And the third tip I give is the power of prayers. It's very important, like as Indians, we have lost our psycho-spiritual base. We have stopped connecting with our higher power. We travel the globe, we love listening to the Robin Sharmas and Paulo Coelhos of the world, but we forget about what's really happening in our culture. So to anchor children, Talk to them about whichever faith you practice. Talk to them about religion. Talk to them about this concept of a higher power. So the child never feels that I'm all alone. When problems are unsurmountable, the child knows that there's something bigger than me which will take care of.
I always see and feel that there is a huge lack of faith in anyone who is unable to move ahead in life. And the problem is that where are you really, and if you ask that person a question, where are you really clutching on to that faith? Earlier it would be, the gods and the goddesses or just parents, but now the term spirituality has easily, replaced religion, but you really do not know where is your faith. If when there is a trauma in your life, are you really clutching on to something? Are you really getting, do you have enough faith onto something? That is very important, like you said, that is something that should come back. But like in particularly the third story that talks about obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. According to me and from my study, personally I feel that everyone has an OCD issue. It could be minor, it could be major, it could be lingering somewhere that triggers much later in life. But in such an early age, when you're spotting an OCD, what could be an issue? How can a child of that, I think pre-teens or teens that kid was, how do you spot it, and what could be the reasons that you can avoid for an OCD to develop?
First thing, when we talk about obsessive compulsive disorder, like you rightly said, we all sometimes have obsessive thoughts. If you see, all of us are obsessed about something or the other. Some burning issue is there, whether it's weight, whether it's finances, whether it's the quality of our relationship. We tend to obsess, but our functioning does not get affected. Now, when does it become a disorder? It becomes a disorder when I'm not able to function because of that thought. Perhaps my sleeping is getting affected. Like if it's a young child, I'm not able to do my schoolwork on time. I'm not able to function properly. That's when it becomes a disorder and you need a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist to intervene. It won't just go away with any kind of mumbo jumbo or any kind of alternate practices. It's like if someone has diabetes, you need to first regulate the insulin level. And after that comes the lifestyle choices that come in, to keep it balanced and balanced. So what you can do with young children, the ones who develop it, usually there's a lot of harsh criticism. And because of that criticism, they are unable to function properly. Their thoughts become so obsessive that they try and control that environment.
This is kind of comparison, I would say, in kids, which is very, very prevalent, even in today's times, in modern times, we can even know much more, right? Great. Would you like to read an excerpt from the book?
Sure, I could, or would you want to read something that you like? Okay, I'll go ahead.
Take the first pick, I'll go for the second.
Done. This is page number 44, and here a mother is talking to her young daughter. That evening, Shoma was called to her parents' room. Is everything alright? Shoma asked worried. Dad and I have noticed that you seem very troubled. You are always tired and cranky. No, I'm not scolding you, darling, her mother said quickly when she saw Shoma's face crumple. We are just worried. Perhaps it was the gentle way they asked or the concern on their faces. Shoma couldn't help herself. She felt as if all her worries and troubles, even when she knew she was going to be late. Now the reason why I have shared your children to confide, you're very succinctly it's been put. Call your child to your room gently. Use endearing words like darling. Put your arm around the child, and then when you ask that child, the child will feel seen and heard. And trust me, 8 times out of 10.
This story really touched me, and because it talks about depression, I want to take this up. Have I done something wrong again? Kabir said. Dad looks so angry today. I think he hates me. My mummy stopped chopping carrots and turned towards Kabir, shocked. Why would you too loudly while watching cartoons? Kabir hesitated and looked at Mummy, wondering whether he should go on. When Mummy nodded, Kabir let out a sigh of relief. Mummy wasn't mad at him. Suddenly all the sad, upset feelings had been me everything. Last week, Dad smacked me because I did not finish the food on my plate. I tried to tell him I had a big glass of milk in the evening and was feeling too full, but he didn't listen. I fell down and the plate morning during breakfast, when I said the toast was burned and tasted funny, He yelled at me to shut up. And then when Dina and I were joking with each other in the car on the way to school, he yelled at us again. Why does he keep yelling, Mummy? Dina was so scared she started crying. I'm so sorry, Kabir, said Mummy, wiping away Kabir's tears. It's not your fault or Dina's. It's not even Dad's fault. Dad isn't well, Kabir. He's sick? Kabir asked, surprised. He doesn't look sick. He doesn't cough or sneeze like Dina and me when we catch a cold or the flu. Dad's illness is a bit different, said Mummy. You are a big boy now, so I think you'll be able to understand what I'm about to tell you. Dad has an illness called depression. What happens during depression? Asked Kabir, feeling worried about his dad. He also felt guilty and ashamed for saying he hated him. Well, there are different types of depression. In your dad's case, he rarely feels calm and has trouble relaxing or being patient. He also gets angry at the drop of a hat. You know the feeling when you're having a bad day and everything makes you angry and grumpy? Yes, well, Dad feels the same. The only difference is that Dad feels like that millennials are also going through depression. Mild, and also because they are unable to catch it or express it until it's too late, right? This is about a kid. Who can you seek help with? Or, what is the first step that you identify and move ahead?
First, what you do is, let's say you start seeing if there are any symptoms which are bothering you. A lot of times I feel whether it is just something, it's just a phase which will pass out. We have something called seasonal affective disorder. It's a form of depression, like when in winters or something like that, people just tend to feel low. I really recommend a general physician is a good place to start if you're worried about something, or go to a mental health practitioner with adequate degree. So after that, what happens is you at least know that you are tackling the issue and nipping it in the bud, or are you over-worrying or genuinely looking at an issue which is there. Like a lot of children these days, in fact one of the primary reasons for writing book was a lot of children's Google symptoms and then they self-diagnose. I'm having a panic attack. Sometimes I've had young children calling me up, they come here, I told my parents to fix up an appointment for me because I'm having a panic attack. I said, really? And how did you know you were having a panic attack? They said, because I read on the internet and I had all the symptoms. So, and I always gently smile at them and I say, trust me, if you had a panic attack, you wouldn't be here. You would be at the emergency room. And they're like, oh, okay. So, this kind of self-diagnosis happens because we don't have enough books. Parents also have the best interest of children, but they don't know what to do about it. So coming back to what you were saying, the only way forward is talking. Feeling your feelings. And we have got so scared to feel our feelings because we feel if we feel our feelings means we'll be yelling at each other. No, it's not about that. That's where emotional intelligence comes in. You are aware of your feelings, but you actually learn how to regulate. Like for example, if we start walking and you see a puddle, do you walk in the puddle? You don't. You just go around it. So in the same way, you have to see your feelings, be aware of it, and learn how to manage them.
Would you like to
Like I shared with you, all the proceeds from the book will be going in aid of Logland Foundation. We are trying to build up schools, currently at least with the book proceeds, the schools which have got destroyed by Amphan. So one particular school we are really trying to rebuild.
So like I said when we began that over the last 1 year, especially during the lockdown, I had been meaning to meditate and what are those things that I could connect with that truly makes me happy. It's really not going out and working. It's really not spending a night or two with friends. It's really being with people who I love or who I can connect with. So those are the things that where I explored myself and I realized the importance of, like you said, being aware of your feelings, being aware of what you really want in life. That's where my journey began. And when I spoke to you about the book, it just felt very natural to me to talk about child mental health, because I remember as a kid, and I always say this story, there was something that I was going through and my mom took me to a doctor. It was probably a panic attack, and the doctor told my mom that she takes a lot of stress. And I was really a kid, I would probably be 6 or 7, and my mom was like, she's a kid. How can she have stress? Like she doesn't even know the meaning of stress. And you know, now I feel that if she was really aware.
Thank you so much, Chikki, because this brings home the point that mental health is actually a part of healthy lifestyle. While we talk about exotic vacations, good clothes on the outside, and education, and really upping our knowledge, what's really important is that we feel good from inside. We address all our feelings. We don't label them as good or bad. We just see that, okay, this is a part of me. How would I like to deal with it? So thank you for bringing home this point that yes, sound mental health is a healthy lifestyle choice. It's not something that you indulge in on days when you're feeling bad. It's a bit like daily self-care. So when you are interested in the subject, each one can tailor-make and come to their own nirvana zone, like you did during the COVID lockdown, And when we pay attention to ourselves, spirituality is nothing but the quality of our own most important relationship, which is with our own self. So what's most important for sound mental health is we first start communicating with ourselves and then with the world at large. So thank you so much. And thank you audience for being so patient and listening to us. And it's really, really important that we all...
Thank you, Shweta. Please stay.
Thank you so much. I thank India for choosing Starmark for the launch. A special thank you to Ms. Chikki Goenka for gracing the evening, ma'am. Thank you so much.